What's up everyone? Today we're going to be taking a look at what I think might be one of the new best trainer cards in the Pokemon TCG, Cheryl. It's a super strong card, so first we'll take a look at the trainer itself, and then we'll take a look at some Pokemon that work well with Cheryl. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to take a look at Cheryl first. It says heal all damage from each of your evolution Pokemon. If you do, discard all energy from the Pokemon that were healed in this way. So Cheryl is a very strong supporter. It doesn't draw you any cards, but it can heal a ton of damage from a ton of Pokemon on your field. So Cheryl is a popular card right now in some decks, specifically in Pokemon Vmax decks, where the Pokemon's main attack discards all energy from the Pokemon when it uses that attack, or returns all the energy. You've probably seen it pop up in Inteleon Vmax, which we'll talk a little bit about here in a second. But so Cheryl is super strong because you get to heal all of that damage from your evolution Pokemon. So obviously you probably don't want to play this in a deck that focuses mainly on basics. But you do have to discard the energy, which is definitely not great. You don't want to discard all that energy you worked so hard to attach. So you're going to have to take some things into consideration when you put Cheryl into a deck. And so to do that, I've kind of formulated this little process. So when you're thinking about putting Cheryl into a deck, first take a look at the main Pokemon in your deck / hero of your deck. So take a look at that Pokemon and first see if it's a basic Pokemon or if it's an evolution Pokemon. If it's a basic, then don't include Cheryl in the deck. If it's an evolution Pokemon, proceed in the process. Then look at your evolution Pokemon. Is it a Pokemon Vmax or is it a single prize Pokemon? If it's a Pokemon Vmax, proceed. If it's not, don't put Cheryl in that deck. Finally, identify the main attack on your main attacker. Does it discard all energy from the Pokemon? And does it return all energy from the Pokemon into your hand? If it does either of those, you can put Cheryl in that deck. So the reasons for this is because with Cheryl, we don't want to use it in a deck that focuses on evolution single prize Pokemon, because while Cheryl could heal that damage, those Pokemon are likely to get KO'd in one shot. So Cheryl doesn't make that much sense. We're not going to get an opportunity to heal the damage, because that damage is usually going to be enough to OHKO those single prize Pokemon. We don't want to use it in the basic Pokemon deck because obviously Cheryl can't heal damage from those Pokemon. And so we want to use it with Pokemon Vmax because those guys can take a hit, and so they will have some damage on them, and then we can use Cheryl to heal the damage off of them. And then we only want to use it in decks that focus on the Pokemon Vmax that have a main attack that discards or returns all the energy on the Pokemon when it uses that, because then we don't really have to worry about discarding the energy from that Pokemon, because if we were to use it before that Pokemon attacked, then we would just be throwing away all that energy. But we can throw it away by using the attack on, say, Pikachu Vmax, and so then we don't have to discard it with Cheryl. It's not as much of a waste. So that process is kind of lengthy and can be sometimes hard to follow. So to kind of speed things up, we're going to take a look at 5 Pokemon Vmax that work well with Cheryl. Alright, so Pokemon number 1 is Pikachu Vmax. I mentioned this one a little bit ago, and that's because of its attack, Gmax Volt Tackle. Hits for 120 base damage for 3 lightning energy, but since you may discard all energy from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack hits for 150 more damage, so you can hit for a pretty solid 270 if we discard all the energy from Pikachu Vmax. After we've done that, perfect opportunity to use Cheryl to heal off the damage that our opponent's Pokemon will put on Pikachu Vmax after it's attacked. So Cheryl works great in here. There is one thing you'll want to keep in mind. Pikachu Vmax is weak to fighting type Pokemon. So in the meta that uses Rapid Strike Urshifu and Single Strike Urshifu, Pikachu Vmax does still have the potential to get KO'd in one hit, so you might not always get to use Cheryl, and for that reason, you might want to only include 1 or 2 copies of Cheryl in your Pikachu Vmax deck. But apart from that, Cheryl and Pikachu Vmax go hand in hand. Pokemon number 2 is Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax. You're probably familiar with this card, but a lot of players haven't considered using Cheryl with it. So the main attack on Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax is Gmax Rapid Flow. For 2 fighting energy and 1 colorless, you discard all energy attached to Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax. This attack does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So it's a very strong attack. You can target the bench or target the active as well as the bench, put some pretty solid damage on there. Then you will be able to use Cheryl the next turn because your opponent's Pokemon will put some damage on Urshifu after it's attacked, and it won't have any energy left on it, so great time to use Cheryl. However, players haven't really been using Cheryl, and there's a reason why. Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax needs to be able to continuously use Gmax Rapid Flow, and to do that, it needs to draw a lot of cards to make sure it keeps finding those Rapid Strike energy. So you're going to be using Professor's Research or Marnie or other draw supporters to find those Rapid Strike energy, and you won't always have an option or a time to use Cheryl. So for that reason, players haven't been using Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax with Cheryl too much. It's also weak to Psychic type Pokemon, which might be a reason why players haven't been using Cheryl with it. So Mew Vmax as well as Rider Calorics can easily OHKO Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax, so you might not always get to use Cheryl. And so for those reasons, I think Cheryl is still a great card with Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax, but you might only want to play one copy in a Rapid Strike Urshifu Vmax deck. Next up, we have the second Urshifu, Single Strike Urshifu Vmax. Its first attack and beatdown hits for 100, but what we need to focus on is Gmax 1 blow. Hits for 270 damage for 3 fighting energy and 1 colorless. Says discard all energy from this Pokemon. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So there it is again, discarding all energy from the Pokemon when it attacks. Perfect opportunity to use Cheryl. Now, Cheryl works in a unique way with Single Strike Urshifu Vmax. So, let's say we Gmax 1 blow, and then our opponent is left with no attackers or no energy to pull off an attack, so they bring up something but they don't attack that next turn. Well, we can still use Cheryl, and that's because Single Strike Urshifu Vmax goes hand in hand with Houndoom. Houndoom accelerates Single Strike energy from your deck at the cost of putting a few damage counters on your Single Strike Pokemon when that energy is attached. So even if we don't get attacked after we use Gmax 1 blow, we can still activate Cheryl to heal off the damage that Houndoom is putting on our Single Strike Pokemon. This next one you're probably familiar with. It's the card that brought Cheryl into the popularity that it is now. Inteleon Vmax from Fusion Strike. It's a Rapid Strike Pokemon. Its ability Double Gunner is great, but if you want to see more about the Inteleon Vmax deck, you can go to my channel and check out the video I did on that. Today, we're just going to focus on its attack Gmax Spiral and how it works with Cheryl. Gmax Spiral uses 1 water energy and 1 colorless to hit for 70 base damage, but adds 70 if you put an energy attached to Inteleon back into your hand. So at first glance, this doesn't seem like a card that would work great with Cheryl because you're only putting 1 energy back into your hand. That's where the fact that Inteleon Vmax is Rapid Strike comes in. If we put a Rapid Strike energy on Inteleon, it pays for its entire attack cost, which means we can hit for 140 damage and then put that 1 Rapid Strike energy back into our hand, leaving no Rapid Strike energy left on Inteleon Vmax, so we can use Cheryl to heal off the damage. Gmax Spiral doesn't hit for a ton of damage, but because we can keep using Cheryl, it allows us to take a slower approach to the game, but it's definitely a slow but deadly approach to the game. I like the strategy of Cheryl and Inteleon. I think it's probably the best version of a Cheryl deck that there is. Inteleon Vmax plus Cheryl just seems to be the best one, mostly because you have access to that Double Gunner, so you can take a slower approach with this deck, and it just seems to work, Cheryl and Inteleon Vmax. This next Pokemon Vmax is probably one you haven't seen very often, and I myself have not seen it in a while, but it definitely works very coolly with Cheryl. So Gmax Cyclone on Sandaconda Vmax costs 2 fighting energy and 1 colorless, and hits for 180 damage, but then moves any amount of energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. So this is pretty cool because you can use Gmax Cyclone to hit for 180, move all the energy on Sandaconda Vmax to a second Sandaconda Vmax, and the next turn use a Cheryl and then a switch to keep alternating between Sandaconda Vmax, hitting for that 180, and then keep healing off the damage so Sandaconda doesn't take too much damage. Sandaconda Vmax, super unique card, one we haven't seen, but maybe Sandaconda plus Cheryl will bring Sandaconda Vmax into the light. Quickly, I do want to identify a Pokemon that does not work with Cheryl, although it appears to. It's Ice Rider Calorics Vmax. Max Lance here costs 2 water energy and hits for 10 base damage, but says you may discard up to 2 energy from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack does 120 more damage for each card you discard in this way. Cool, we can hit for 250, take all the energy off Calorix, and then use Cheryl to heal off the damage. Not quite. With an Ice Rider Calorics Vmax deck, you're going to be using Melanie pretty much every turn to make sure you can consistently use Max Lance. Melanie will take up your supporter for the turn, meaning you cannot use Cheryl. So while you may be able to use Cheryl sometimes in an Ice Rider Calorics deck, it's not often enough to support putting Cheryl in the deck. So you're just going to stick with Melanie in an Ice Rider Calorics, don't use Cheryl. I just wanted to point this out because some people might think I left out a Pokemon, but I wanted to leave out Ice Rider Calorics in the list of Pokemon that do work with Cheryl, just because you have to use Melanie instead of Cheryl as your supporter for the turn in an Ice Rider Calorics deck. If you guys enjoyed today's video with a look at the trainer card Cheryl, as well as some of the Pokemon that do and don't work with Cheryl, make sure you drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and put a comment in the comment section down below. That's it from me. I'll see you guys in the next video.